Welcome to a journey through the hidden mysteries of the human body, as revealed by Manly P. Hall in his exploration of occult anatomy. In this video, we will uncover how ancient wisdom viewed the body not just as a biological machine, but as a microcosm of the universe, rich with symbolism and spiritual meaning. From the teachings of the Jewish patriarchs to the temples of Egypt, the human form has always been seen as a sacred vessel, mirroring the cosmos itself. Let's begin by understanding why the ancients believed that to know oneself was to know the universe. Throughout history, sacred texts and spiritual traditions have described the human body as a symbol of divine creation. The Bible, along with other ancient scriptures, tells us that man was made in the image of God. This idea is echoed in the concept of the microcosm and macrocosm, where the human body reflects the structure and order of the universe. Temples and churches were often built in the shape of the human body, with the altar representing the brain. Such symbolism was not accidental. It was a deliberate way to teach that understanding the body is key to unlocking cosmic mysteries. Ancient priests were not only spiritual leaders but also keen students of anatomy. They believed that every function of nature was mirrored within the human body. By studying the body, they sought to understand the universe itself. This knowledge was considered sacred and was often kept secret, forming the core of the mystery schools of Egypt and Atlantis. The priests taught that every star, element, and force in nature had a corresponding center or activity within the body, making man a living textbook of the cosmos. Religious symbolism often draws from the human body. Many rituals and sacred structures are based on anatomical features. For example, the Jewish tabernacle, Egyptian temples, and Christian churches all reflect the human form in their design. The placement of the altar, the use of light, and the arrangement of spaces within these structures correspond to vital organs and centers of consciousness in the body. This deep connection between architecture and anatomy was intended to remind worshippers of the divine nature within themselves. The law of analogy, as taught by Hermes Trismegistus, states, "As above, so below." This principle is central to occult anatomy. It means that the patterns and laws governing the cosmos are reflected in the human body. By studying ourselves, we can gain insight into the workings of the universe. This idea has influenced countless spiritual traditions, encouraging seekers to look within for answers to the mysteries of existence. Many Christian symbols and doctrines have their roots in older pagan traditions. The cross, the mitre, the concept of the Trinity, and even the story of the Virgin Mother can be traced back to Egypt, India, Persia, and other ancient cultures. Christianity, like all religions, evolved by adopting and transforming earlier symbols and myths. Understanding these origins helps us see the interconnectedness of spiritual traditions and the universal language of symbolism. Sacred texts are often written in layers of symbolism, requiring multiple interpretations to fully grasp their meaning. The Bible, for instance, is said to be sealed with 7 seals, each representing a deeper level of understanding. Literal interpretations only scratch the surface. True wisdom comes from uncovering the allegorical and mystical messages hidden within. This approach reveals that spiritual teachings are not just historical accounts, but timeless guides for inner transformation. Ancient sages saw the functions of the body, mind, and soul as characters in a grand cosmic drama. Each organ and faculty played a role in the unfolding story of spiritual evolution. The interplay between these forces was dramatized in myths and legends, teaching that our inner world is a stage for the eternal struggle between higher and lower impulses. By understanding this drama, we can better navigate our own spiritual journeys. According to the mystery schools, both the universe and the human body are divided into 3 worlds: heaven, earth, and hell. Heaven is associated with the brain, the seat of divine consciousness. Earth represents the middle world, the realm of daily life and struggle. Hell is linked to the lower body and the forces of desire and destruction. This tripartite structure is reflected in many spiritual traditions and serves as a map for understanding the journey of the soul. In occult anatomy, the brain is seen as the temple of the gods within man. The domed skull represents the heavenly world, and its chambers are likened to sacred spaces where spiritual initiation occurs. The 12 convolutions of the brain correspond to the 12 disciples, zodiac signs, or tribes, each sending messages throughout the body. The central chamber, or third ventricle, is the Holy of Holies, where divine communication takes place. The human body contains 3 major centers: the brain, the heart, and the reproductive system. These correspond to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or the 3 chambers of the pyramid in Masonic symbolism. The harmonious development and transformation of these centers is said to unlock the lost word of spiritual power. Each center radiates its influence throughout the body, shaping our physical, emotional, and spiritual experiences. Deep within the brain lie 2 mysterious glands, the pineal and pituitary. These are often called the head and tail of the dragon of wisdom. The pineal gland, shaped like a pine cone, is associated with spiritual vision and the third eye. The pituitary gland, resting in the sella turcica, is linked to physical vitality and growth. Ancient symbols from the Egyptian cone to the Christian halo reference these glands as keys to higher consciousness. The pineal gland, or third eye, is said to have once been the organ of spiritual sight, allowing humans to perceive higher realms. In children, this faculty is partially active until about age 7, explaining their heightened sensitivity. As we grow, the third eye becomes dormant, but through spiritual practice, it can be reawakened, granting insight into the unseen worlds. This concept is found in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Western esoteric traditions alike. The cross is a universal symbol, representing the human body with outstretched arms and the head rising above. Churches and cathedrals are often built in the shape of a cross, with the altar at the head, symbolizing the seat of divine consciousness. The candles burning on the altar represent the spiritual centers in the brain, while the rose window above signifies the soft spot at the crown of the skull, the gateway to higher realms. Within the skull lies the sphenoid bone, known as the winged bone. In Egyptian symbolism, it is represented by the scarab beetle, which carries the pituitary gland in its claws and the spark of immortality in the frontal sinus. This imagery connects the anatomical structure of the skull with ancient myths of resurrection and spiritual rebirth, showing how the body itself is a living symbol of transformation. The spine, with its 33 segments, is seen as Jacob's ladder, connecting heaven and earth. Each vertebra represents a step in spiritual ascent, mirroring the years of Christ's life and the degrees of initiation in Masonry. The spinal cord is the pathway for the life force, and its structure is central to many spiritual practices, including yoga and meditation. The journey up the spine is a metaphor for the soul's return to its divine source. The ancient Hindus described 3 channels in the spine: Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. These are symbolized by the caduceus, the winged staff of Hermes, with 2 serpents winding around a central rod. Kundalini, the coiled serpent energy, lies dormant at the base of the spine and can be awakened to rise through these channels, bringing spiritual enlightenment. This powerful force is both creative and potentially dangerous if misused. Kundalini is described as a serpent goddess, who descends from heaven and hides in the sacral plexus at the base of the spine. Through spiritual discipline, this energy can be awakened and guided upward through the spinal channels, activating various centers along the way. Each center or lotus blossoms as the energy passes, leading to higher states of consciousness. However, this process requires great care and preparation, as the force can be both enlightening and destructive. Along the spine are several nerve centers, or lotuses, each with a specific number of petals corresponding to the nerves branching from it. These centers are reflections of higher centers in the brain and are activated as Kundalini rises. The journey through these centers is mirrored in religious pilgrimages and rituals, symbolizing the soul's ascent through various stages of spiritual development. Occult anatomy distinguishes between mediumship and clairvoyance. A medium receives impressions through the solar plexus, allowing external entities to influence their body and mind. Clairvoyance, on the other hand, is achieved by raising the Kundalini to the brain, awakening the third eye. This process requires self-mastery and years of preparation, making clairvoyance rare compared to mediums, who are naturally receptive but often lack control. The heart, with its chambers, is seen as a temple standing on the mountain of the diaphragm. It is the seat of love and spiritual devotion. The spleen nearby gathers solar rays and is responsible for the etheric body, injecting white blood cells into the bloodstream. Every organ has both a physical and a spiritual function, contributing to the overall harmony and vitality of the body. The human body has inspired countless mechanical inventions, from hinges to plumbing systems. Its design is so efficient that even the decimal system is based on counting fingers. Every organ serves a visible purpose and a hidden spiritual one. The close connection between the brain and the reproductive system, mediated by the spine, is central to many esoteric teachings about energy and transformation. Muscles in the body are classified as voluntary or involuntary. Voluntary muscles, controlled by conscious thought, have fibers running in 2 directions and can be trained for greater control. Involuntary muscles, like the heart, operate automatically but may eventually come under conscious control as human evolution progresses. Eastern yogis demonstrate extraordinary mastery over their bodies, even suspending vital functions at will. Occultism teaches that the entire universe exists within the human body. Each cell is a world unto itself, and the consciousness that says, "I am," is the ruler of this inner cosmos. Just as we are part of a vast universe, so too are our cells part of us. This perspective encourages a sense of unity and responsibility for the worlds within and around us. At the base of the spine lies the throne of the Lord of Form, symbolized by Shiva or Jehovah. This region is associated with death, destruction, and the densest aspects of physical existence. Ancient myths describe the lower worlds as places of suffering, created by our own negative emotions and actions. The journey of the soul involves overcoming these lower forces and transforming them into spiritual energy. For the occultist, birth is a form of death and death is an awakening. Entering the physical world is seen as entering a tomb where the soul is limited by time and space. The ultimate goal is to liberate the spirit from these confines, allowing it to rise again in a new form. Myths of resurrection and liberation are found in all cultures, reflecting this universal spiritual journey. Blood is considered the carrier of the soul's story. Its unique patterns reflect our evolutionary status, hopes, and fears. The arrival of red blood in the body marks the transition from plant to animal consciousness. Myths such as the piercing of Christ's side or Prometheus's liver being eaten by an eagle symbolize the spiritual significance of blood and the liver in human evolution. Colors play a vital role in occult symbolism. Red represents the body and is linked to Mars, war, and passion. Yellow symbolizes the soul and is associated with enlightenment and vitality. Blue stands for the spirit, bringing calm and healing. The interplay of these colors in the aura and in rituals reflects the dynamic balance of physical, emotional, and spiritual energies within us. Alchemists and Rosicrucians disguised their study of occult anatomy by representing organs as retorts and vessels. The body was seen as a furnace, with the fire burning at the base of the spine and the fumes rising through the spinal chimney to be distilled in the brain. This allegory illustrates the process of spiritual transformation, where base elements are refined into spiritual gold. The development of the human embryo mirrors the evolution of the cosmos. Myths of creation, such as the births of Vishnu, parallel the stages of embryonic growth. The universe is described as forming in a cosmic womb, surrounded by mountains and nourished by waters, just as the embryo is formed in the mother's womb. This analogy reveals the deep connection between individual and cosmic evolution. Human life unfolds in cycles of 7 years, each marking a new stage of physical, emotional, or mental growth. At birth, the physical body is formed, at 7, the vital body becomes active, at 14, the emotional body awakens, and at 21, the mental body reaches maturity. These cycles continue throughout life, reflecting the ongoing process of spiritual evolution and self-mastery. The human body is said to have 12 gates, or openings, corresponding to the 12 signs of the zodiac and the 12 tribes of Israel. 7 of these are visible, while 5 are hidden. Ancient philosophers taught that these gates are channels for spiritual and physical energies, and their proper use is essential for health and spiritual development. The head was used by the Hebrews as a symbol of divine attributes called the Great Face. The eyes represented the Father, the nostrils the Son, and the mouth the Holy Spirit. The 7 vowels produced by the mouth were seen as the 7 spirits before the throne, each creating in one of the 7 worlds. This rich symbolism reveals the head as a microcosm of spiritual reality. Occult masonry teaches the purification and liberation of the spirit from the prison of materiality. The 3 steps of the Masonic ladder represent materiality, intellect, and spirituality. By balancing thought, desire, and action, one forms the eternal triangle, the symbol of divine manifestation. The journey of the Mason is the journey of every soul striving for spiritual freedom. The beehive is a Masonic symbol of industry and cooperation. Each soul is like a bee, gathering the nectar of wisdom from life's experiences and storing it in the hive of the soul. The honey produced is the food of the higher self, nourishing spiritual growth. This allegory encourages us to transform every joy and sorrow into spiritual nourishment. The grip of the lion's paw is one of the oldest symbols of initiation. In ancient rites, the candidate was raised from the tomb by the master's lion-clad hand, symbolizing the awakening of spiritual power. The lion represents the sun and the conquering spirit, breaking the chains of materiality and resurrecting the divine self within. In Masonic symbolism, the 2 Johns represent the transformation of animal instincts into spiritual virtues. John the Baptist, clothed in animal skins, symbolizes unrefined passions, while John the Evangelist represents their purification. Mastery over the lower nature is essential for spiritual initiation, as symbolized by the phrase riding the goat or climbing the greased pole, both referring to the ascent of consciousness up the spine. The lost word in Masonry symbolizes the divine power within each person. When we misuse our mental, physical, or spiritual energies, we lose touch with this inner word. Only through purification and self-mastery can the builder within be resurrected and the lost word spoken again. This process is the true goal of spiritual initiation and self-realization. Masonic symbols such as the broken column, the urn, and the evergreen branch represent the soul's journey through death and rebirth. The evergreen signifies eternal life, while the broken column and urn remind us of the impermanence of the physical body. The resurrection of the builder within is the promise of spiritual immortality for those who awaken the divine life locked within matter. The rising sun has always been a symbol of spiritual awakening and resurrection. In Masonry, the sun is personified as Hiram, the master builder who rises to place the golden stone atop the temple. This act represents the illumination of consciousness and the triumph of spirit over matter. The journey toward enlightenment is a universal theme found in all spiritual traditions. Every person is a temple built stone by stone through daily experiences and challenges. The tools of the craft, hammer, chisel, and rule, represent the skills and virtues we develop. By refining ourselves, we prepare the cornerstone of our own spiritual temple, ultimately becoming initiates of the inner flame and bearers of the light. The ultimate goal of occult anatomy is the union of the triple spirit and triple body, symbolized by the Seal of Solomon. When the cornerstone is restored and the lost word is found, the individual becomes the capstone of the universal temple. This is the culmination of the spiritual journey, where the soul returns to its divine origin, fully awakened and free. Everyday events sharpen our senses and develop our abilities. The challenges we face are the tools that shape us, turning the rough stone into a perfect block for the universal temple. By embracing life's lessons, we become initiates of the flame, replacing darkness with light and ignorance with wisdom. The rituals of initiation, whether in ancient temples or modern lodges, are reenactments of the soul's journey toward enlightenment. Each step, symbol, and challenge represents an inner transformation. By understanding the deeper meaning behind these rituals, we can apply their wisdom to our own lives, advancing on the path of self-realization. In conclusion, the study of occult anatomy reveals that the human body is a living temple, a microcosm of the universe, and a vessel for spiritual transformation. By understanding the symbols, myths, and teachings of the ancients, we gain the key to unlocking the mysteries within ourselves. The journey is ongoing, and each step brings us closer to realizing our divine potential.